back to my channel. This is Dutch 2020 from Dutch Active Racing Team. We had a very nice Sunday yesterday. We had a flawless Sunday with 376 points, and we had a wonderful P4. So this week we're going for also a flawless Saturday, and hopefully that will bring us to a P1 position. As you can see, we brought the team score a little bit down for our video today. So I put Max Verstappen and Norris into the vehicle, and as you can see, the normal is the 1831 team score, but again, for this video I will put the team score down because we want to have some more equal opponents, or even opponents that have a higher team score than ourselves, because I want to take you on a small trip for a few tracks already and to show you how to use correctly your boosts. I am talking now in the aftermath to the voice because I had a small problem recording today on the video, but I think the video is still worth to show you guys, so I am now doing the audio, which I'm doing right at this moment. I am talking this after I already did the races, so I hope to give a good post-race commentary and to remind all the steps that I did during the race. The first race I came upon a good opponent today was at Abu Dhabi. If I remember correctly, indeed, both my drivers were before his P9 and P11. I noticed before he was a real opponent because it took him a long time to get up the matchup. And here I was selecting our boosts. As you can see, we are adapting on the towers for Verstappen. And if I do not mistake correctly, we're going to do the rooster indeed on Norris. And both drivers will be on the medium compound, because today is not a Grand Prix race. We are not looking for that 1-2 finish. We are just simply racing to stay ahead of our opponent to win this race. As you can see, our opponent is now in the medium and onto the hard compound, P13 and 14, and he is using the downforce and the butterfly boost. Also two exceptionally good boosts on this track. And as you can see on his car level, he's also using the wet tire trick. Still both of our drivers still ahead of him. And now that rooster boost needs to do his job. That rooster boost, as you can see on the bottom of my screen, has times for blocking opponents. So we're going to try a little bit of pace management here on Verstappen, try to push a little bit into the field. And as you can see here, Norris is dropping down. We lost 2 places in that last corner, and here goes the number 3, and now we're back to P13. And again, that rooster boost should give us that blocking advantage. So again, a little bit disappointing there. Not a big problem as long as we are ahead of his Hamilton. As we can see, Verstappen now at P5. And here, that awful corner, I do hate that corner. And as you can see, his number 11, Verstappen, also had some trouble over there. And also his Hamilton dropping down back to P17. So not just for me, also for him, it's troublesome, that corner. Norris still reflecting back on P13, and as you can see, still a lot of percentage on our tires left. So that means we still have enough tire for our tire management. We also have still room to push. So at this moment, we are setting the pace for our opponent. So he has no other choice to follow or to push, because of course he cannot take the risk of staying in these positions, because then he will lose the race. He's going to try, of course, with his Verstappen to push, but I don't need to push on my P6. I can hold back easily and try to push now for the final lap. As you can see, we could do 5 laps on the medium, but if I'm not mistaken correctly, I will push now for this full entire lap, and I will do 4 laps on the medium, and again 4 laps on the medium. However, Norris, we're going to do a different small strategy. We're going to do 5 laps on the medium for him, because as we can see, our opponent at P14 at the moment is on the hard tire. So he will for sure go those 5 laps as well. So we don't want to undercut. So on Norris, we're going to do very nice and slow tire management, and we're going to do 5 laps on the medium, and then we will do 3 laps on the soft tire. Here, as we can see, Verstappen here with the towers boost now in the pits, followed by Verstappen from our opponent with the downforce. And as you can see, we have a nice lead. And still at the moment of time, we are ahead of both of his drivers. And now we're going to hold back with Verstappen and see if we can hold back Hamilton on the hard tire. But as we can see, his hard tire is already dying on him. And also they're a tough corner in the chicane. And now it's not a chance anymore of him overtaking me before the pit lane. So now Norris is going to have a safe pit stop. And with Verstappen, we had some nice tire management involving out of the pits. But as you can see now, over 80% left. P6, and now we can push until the end. And here we go, full on pushing. Norris at P13 doing well. And now he is 3 laps on the soft tire. And here we go with Verstappen to the outside of Verstappen. That's very difficult in that part of the track. Indeed, still remaining now at P6. We are gunning for that P5 finish and hope to create a little bit of distance between us and our opponent. And as you can see here, that Bot Perez just went into the pits, and now our opponent is behind us. But as you can see, we still have a lot of leverage between Norris and his Hamilton driver. As you can see here, his Hamilton driver still at P14. As long as we have 1 or 2 cars between him and us, we are good. But as we see here, Verstappen now up for P4. So now we have a double car length between us and our opponent. And that means we have a safe distance to close the race. Norris also doing a fine job. Let's hope Norris can also crack here Hamilton. And there he goes. Very nice takeover on Norris's part. Verstappen now at P3 on the medium tire, and again Norris on the soft tire doing well. He's now at P8, crossing to Verstappen onto the downforce, and maybe for a small surprise we thought a small takeover there on our part, but unfortunately still, and there we go, also the takeover now, and now we have both our drivers ahead of him. At the last stage of the corner, there we go, we're going to squeeze it right in, and even a top says finish. And as you can see guys, what a tire management and a well good luck of course for our opponent. But as you can see here, the right amount of boost will stay you ahead of your opponent. Tire management is everything. So here you go guys. And here we go, and we're gonna jump a lot quicker because here the video and the audio on my phone, it was being disruptive. And as you can see, we were jumping right ahead already to the next race. Again, I had some problems, I think, with my software. I really don't know. It was giving me some trouble. As you can see here, an opponent with a much lower team score than ours. I really thought at that moment of time, I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to wait for the next opponent. But as you can see, I had a real opponent. He has boosts. And maybe now he's still for P13 and P16. He started at P11 and P13. I started P9 and P10. So even though we have a very big team score difference, his grip precisions were very near mine. So that's a very interesting fact to talk about before we're going to jump into the race. Very quick note, as you can see, his drivers are on both softs. Sorry guys, first get into the race, after that I will talk about his grip positions. Both of his drivers are on the soft tire. The first mistake that he made, both drivers on the soft tire. He's starting sorry with that. He was starting with both drivers in the midfield area. If you're starting at Spa-Francorchamps, you don't want to start on the soft if you're outside the top 10, and especially not with both your drivers. Because as you can see, he has trouble taking over for P12, and now both his drivers will be not just stacking to the pits, they will literally drive instantly to the pits together at this point. Small mistake number 2 on his part. His lumberjack is of course a wonderful boost, but he used the lumberjack on his second driver. Well guys, as you can see, my number 1 driver is Verstappen and Norris is my second driver. If Verstappen is ahead of Norris and Norris is behind Verstappen, he will likely not even take over or not even try because he's the second driver. But if my Verstappen is behind Norris and Verstappen is closing on Norris, Norris will even shut down the car in this game to let the first driver go past him. So again, that's a good thing into the game and a good thing to remind of. Don't get into a fight with both of your drivers. And then connect back to the point with his drivers when he did. The lumberjack boost is a good boost, but he should have used it on his first driver because the lumberjack is very good on the straight. He can take over easily, take over your opponents. But now, every time he was behind himself So taking over yourself is again extremely difficult with your second driver. And that resulted in him being stuck at midfield with both drivers. Again, a small mistake with both drivers on the soft. And now he had to make the pit stop at a very slow rate. And now you see after my story, he's back at P13 and P17. But before we started this, he became at the pit stop. His second driver was P24. Well, guys, if you're starting at P11 in a race and with a good boost like that, that is not possible. That's not okay. So, of course, no disrespect to our opponent, much respect to him, and I don't want to badmouth him, of course. We're just looking at this objectively like it's training. So again, as you also notice, every week I also make mistakes. I'm not perfect. So in a way, if he's watching this, learn please, because again, here he's stacking his cars, and now his second driver is now only using his pit stop. The first driver on the Voices boost, yes, he will have a quick pit stop, but again, now he's P23. And guys, boosts are not cheap. Yes, I also spend a lot of money. You can see that on my boost amount in my videos. But to use the Lumberjack and the Voices, both of them, for 3 times, that's a waste in a race like this. He already should have noticed 1 pit stop ago he was not going to win this race. So I'm not saying to give up, but guys, if you're using rare boosts, which are rare to you, and you're seeing you're driving a hopeless race after the first pit stop, make a safe pit stop after that and finish out the race. Don't do what he did and do 3 separate pit stops on those boosts. Because again, he's not going to win. This is not a GP race. There is no need to get high points if you're not going to win. And beautiful as we see right here, right now, his Hamilton now took over 2 drivers. That Lumberjack boost is insane. But again, as I say in practically all my videos, guys, taking over driver gets easier, the race prolongs. So again, after the start, it's difficult. After the first corner and a lot of races, except with Spa, it's difficult to take over other drivers. Same goes for Melbourne. You know, it's difficult. So use your fuel, use your tires for later on into the race. And as we can see here, our opponent had no chance whatsoever. Alright guys, to conclude that, I do want to get on a very important point. And that is the point that he started literally 2 grid positions behind us. But also, as you can see, our team score was significantly higher. So the first question arises to me, how is it even possible that he was close behind me? It did ask a question that I drove easily away from him, and that answered that question, of course. For him, the advice is use a different team score, because his team score, with 160 lower than mine, but still being that high on the grid, that is false advertising for your own team score. So he should adapt that, because otherwise he's going to get difficult opponents who can easily drive away from him. And as you can see here, a Dutch opponent, Kevin from Supermax. Finally, we have a opponent with a higher team score of 70 points. And I can already say, unfortunately, he is not using boost. I was really hoping he was gonna, so we can have an even more competitive video than we have now. But also for now, I'm gonna show you how to beat an opponent with boosts if he's in front of you. And there we go. His Hamilton is at P8 and his Verstappen at P9. We are crossing at 12 and 14. We're gonna go on the medium tire because we want to push for a full 3 laps. Or, if taking over is difficult, because again it's the beginning of the race, we want tire management. So we're going to go over 2 different strategies. We're going to go on a dead fast for Verstappen, the towers boost now, of course. He's already our first driver in there. There we go with Verstappen. Easy takeover there, also on signs, beautifully done. Let's see if Norris can go up for P11 here. Verstappen now closing in on both our opponent drivers. Russell and Hamilton, again, both on the soft tire. Again, our opponent is now realizing he made a huge mistake by not selecting boosts. That was taking a long time. He should have noticed that I was not a bot. There you go, guys. That dead fast boost is, of course, great. But as you can see here, you do need space for that takeover. We needed that space. We did not have any. And then you get stuck behind the other driver. He, of course, is on the soft tire, so you're gonna have that pace to get the takeover. We want to push, but we also don't want to give out all our fuel. So for now, we're going to push with Verstappen. And there we go, beautifully done. The takeover on Russell. And good part, we were still pushing with Verstappen. Let's see if we can get a takeover. I think we're too close. You do need space for the dead fast boost to fly over your opponent. Let's see, for Norris here, we're still defending, and we're still beautifully over that 60% mark before we went over start finish. But we're going to go for 4 laps medium on Norris, and I think another 4 laps on the medium, or maybe even the hard tire. We're going to do the tire trick, or I'm sorry, the pit trick here on Verstappen. Let's see if we can squeeze ahead of the Hamilton. Oh, but now both of his drivers beneath us, and now he made the critical mistake of missing that pit stop, guys. Man, this is becoming a small habit. This is the second time this week, of course, that this already happened. But again, I'm saying this with a big smile because today is not the Grand Prix. Today is a tutorial video of how to beat a better opponent. Well, guys, lesson 1. Don't fuck up your pit stop. Oh my god, this was really stupid, of course. But again, this is also beautifully to see if we can still manage now the situation and to limit the damage. As we can see, Verstappen now dead in the corner, dead in the water, and he needs his pit stop quick. Norris also still needs to make his pit stop, and we're still on track for him. We also needed the pit because we were on a 4-lap strategy. Because of this mistake of Verstappen, we also now have to move the mistake onto Norris. And now as you can see that Norris is running out of his tires, but that tires boost is a lifesaver. Now we see that Verstappen is on the hard tire, so we did have our only and final pit stop now. We are first on a 2-stop strategy with Verstappen, but now as you can see, we're on a 1-stop. And now we're exactly behind Russell at P10. And the good news on that factor is that P10 Russell seems to go for his pit stop. And that will surely mean that Verstappen will take over. As we can see, Norris now on the soft tire, and we love Verstappen, Dutch pride, but Norris here on the soft tire is going to need to push and get us the win. As we can see at number 4, Hamilton now on the softs, he will go for his final pit stop. Man, guys, this will be a no-biter. Let's see what we can do here with Norris. Oh, again, very close. Verstappen, they're blocking us. Oh, this is going to be a very tight one. The takeover of Verstappen was very important. But as you can see, Verstappen hold us back long enough. No, he did not. Oh, there you go. Norris with the beautiful takeover, guys. And that's the Taurus boost for you right there. That is that 1 corner extra advantage that you have with that boost. That was real good. Because our Norris opponent is also on the soft tire, so taking over is not that easy. There we go. But Norris also beautiful takeover on Norris' part. Beautiful corner work. And Lando is really pulling out for us. He's doing a marvelous job. Let's see if we can get Russell on P3 as well. As you can see, also Verstappen here on the dead fast boost on the hard tire. Really maintained the damage, and he did good. Back to P7 and closing in on his opponent. Let's see if Norris can pull ahead here on Russell. There we go, another beautiful takeover. Man, Hamilton was very close over there, so you never know. And this was beautifully done. Wonderful save by Norris. Alright guys, I think it's a beautiful race. I made a huge error. My race opponent, of course, had no boost, so unfortunately for him, it was a bad call. But again, I made a huge mistake, and I had to expand that mistake onto Norris. But even so, we had a beautiful win. But again, guys, without those 2 boosts, this was not even possible. So I can 100% surely say to you, use your boost if you want a nice win streak or whatever to win your series and to win that money. Alright guys, beautifully done again. I want to thank you very much for watching today. Of course, I'll be making much more videos on other tracks, other team scores. If you have a positive or a negative remark, please leave it behind. It's part of the game and I will listen to it. And everybody who will still be racing today, stay in the race and keep up the pace, guys. Thank you very much.